After witnessing her longtime boyfriend cheating on her, Gail spickily meets a new lover, someone none of her family and friends expect. One day, a man and a woman are having a pleasurable moment in bed. Suddenly, Gail walks in with balloons to surprise her boyfriend, but is instead greeted by the sight of her cheating boyfriend, Andy. As he tries to explain, she pops a balloon, furious. She laments not breaking up with him earlier as she bursts the final balloon. Gail complains about Andy and takes the covers off his mistress, revealing to be her younger sister, Allie, who supposedly hates the man. The angered woman hits her now ex-boyfriend and heads to the kitchen for some tools. When Gail leaves, Andy reassures Allie about his love for her. Coming back with a sledgehammer, Gail breaks Andy's favorite items and strikes him in the chest and back. After the incident, Gail, wearing a straitjacket, is confined at a mental health facility. She consoles herself about the cheating situation, randomly sings a nursery rhyme, and screams for pudding. Then, a nurse opens the door, holding a syringe while laughing malevolently. The nurse binds the patient because Gail bit her previously, and she injects her, putting her to sleep. At the police station interrogation room, Allie tries persuading Andy not to press charges against her sister. However, the man is infuriated that his favorite items are broken. Shortly after, Allie's father enters, informing Andy that he knows where he keeps a stash of illicit substances. Because of this, Andy decides not to press charges when Cooper, the cop, enters. Soon, Gail claims she learned her lesson and is ready to return home as her eyes twitch. The nurse still thinks she's deranged, but since her 72-hour psych hold is finished, the patient is released. At a bar, a group of women orders drinks while flirting with the waiter. The women wonder why Gail is late, and Jen thinks she's getting laid. However, Carla doesn't think their friend would do that immediately after the breakup. Emma worries since Gail is never late, and Jen notes that Gail's actions are justified because her ex moved in with her sister. Elsewhere, Gail suggestively unclothes herself and proceeds to have a steamy time with an unknown man. At the bar, Emma calls Gail, concerned about her whereabouts, but the absentee is too busy to respond. Jen hopes their friend is getting laid and asks the waiter for separate checks. Then, Zoe jokes that Jen could get them a discount with her assets. They are relieved they weren't kicked out of the bar, even if Gail didn't show up. Meanwhile, Gail expresses her appreciation for Jack, the unknown man, hoping their intimate moment together isn't a one-time thing. She likes him and wants to get past their differences as she lovingly gazes at Jack, a puppet. She then kisses him on the cheek and they sleep together. Sometime later, Gail walks in on Jack on the toilet, and he proposes another round, but she leaves as he farts. Afterward, the puppet calls his friend Clyde, who's worried about his friend's whereabouts, thinking he needs to be bailed out of jail again. However, Jack gushes about his girlfriend, describing her kindness and beautiful chest. On the other hand, a rabbit puppet narrates her story about her former lover, Jack, infuriated that he left her, even after she had his bunnies. At home, Gail and Jack watch the news and make out while the reporter observes them through the screen, distracted. Another reporter and a boom operator enter the scene and stare at the odd couple. Shortly after, the couple browses a Kama Sutra, an Indian Sanskrit text about intimacy, to enhance their passionate moments together. Soon, the women are back at the bar, but Gail is still absent. In the Spickleys' home, Gail's mother thinks that her daughter's relationship with Jack is good, unaware that Jack is a puppet. Her husband changes the subject to food, and she storms off, feeling unheard. Meanwhile, Allie breaks the news of Gail's new boyfriend to Andy. She tells him that her sister's lover is an older man, and she hopes that once Gail is happy, their sisterly bond can be repaired. Soon, Gail finally makes it to her regular hangout with her friends. She raves about Jack, describing him as short but romantic. The excited woman gives explicit details about their intimate moments, and her pals can't wait to meet him. At the same time, Allie and Andy finish doing the deed in their apartment. Meanwhile, Gail's father proclaims that his wife's lasagna is the best. As the days pass, Jack knows how to take advantage of Gail, knowing that she has abandonment and daddy issues, traits that will make a woman do anything her partner wants in bed. Gail arrives home and is greeted by rose petals on the floor. This leads her to a romantic setup in their bedroom, where Jack instructs her on what to do next. After a romantic moment, Gail tenderly asks Jack if he can meet her loved ones. He says he would be happy to, confessing his love for her. They then discuss another adventurous bedroom activity, and Gail prepares to do it. At the Spickley residence, Mrs. Spickley complains about the mental health issues from her husband's family, claiming that it's why Gail ended up deranged. Again, the father changes the topic to lasagna, pissing her off. Ultimately, she mentions that they have meatballs instead, so he asks for them. Meanwhile, the rabbit puppet is enraged about Gail and Jack's relationship, plotting against them. She plans to end Gail's life and hurt Jack too, preparing a weapon. Sometime later, Gail prepares to introduce her boyfriend to her friends and family, while Jack gushes about his love for her. While the woman showers, she fantasizes about being called Mrs. Jack, realizing she doesn't know his last name, but continues to dream about being his wife. In Gail's living room, her friends are gathered to meet her new lover. With shocked faces, the guests stare at the puppet in silence. Baffled, the woman's friends express their negative opinions about her lover. Jen wonders aloud if Gail does intimate acts with a puppet, and Carla thinks this is all a joke. Their friend is offended, but Emma and Zoe think she needs some help and a reality check. Angered, Gail brings up her friend's flawed relationships, mentioning Carla's writer fiancé who just sits in Starbucks all day. Emma tries to stop her angered friend, but the puppet lover thinks it's fair since they attacked her relationship. Furthermore, Gail points out that Zoe's previous boyfriends always mention that Zoe has daddy issues and that Jen dated her professors. The offended woman storms off, leaving her friends insulted. In her bedroom, Gail worries about her loved one's reactions towards Jack as one of her friends knocks on her door to talk. Jack comforts his girlfriend by kissing her, and they head to the living room. Trying to understand and respect their friend's relationship, Zoe asks Gail how the couple met, but Jen snidely remarks that Zoe now acknowledges that the puppet is real. The previously heartbroken woman recalls having tickets to a comedy puppet show while dating Andy. After the breakup, she attended the show, watching the puppeteer introduce Jack as Grandpa Bra. Jack insulted the audience as Gail drunkenly laughed out loud. At the comedy bar, Gail drank while confiding about Andy to the bartender. She attempted to show the bartender pictures of her ex and complained about the drinks. From across the bar, Jack bought Gail a drink and the two flirted. Weirded out by Gail's recollection, her friends leave. Before Jen leaves, she urges her strange friend to be the best puppet lover she can be. With everyone gone, Gail comments that the meeting went well, to which Jack agrees and the two kiss. When it's Gail's parents' turn to meet their daughter's new boyfriend, the proud girlfriend holds her boyfriend's hand, puzzled about her parents' silence. Her father leaves for the kitchen, followed by her mother. In the kitchen, Mrs. Spicoli worries for her daughter, but the father is only concerned about food. The mother wonders if this is their fault as parents. Later, when dinner is served, Mr. Spicoli blatantly tells his daughter that she's dating a puppet. She's baffled, thinking the couple's age difference would be judged instead of this. Gail exclaims that her parents are discriminating against puppets, to which her father retorts that puppets aren't part of the human race. The mother tries to calm her, but her daughter leaves, almost forgetting to bring Jack. Afterward, Gail's mother pleads with her husband to fix their family issues, not only their daughter's relationships, but also their marriage, which is far from the one he promised her during their youth. The wife asks her husband to be the hero he promised to be, but the one thing on his mind is a restaurant called Heroes. That evening, Gail and Jack have a pleasurable time together until she notices one of the teddy bear's eyes is glowing. He reassures her that it's just a reflection before resuming their evening plans. The following day, Gail cleans the couch, urging Jack to help her. However, he asks her to wear something more motivating for his selfish desires, giving her flowers in a trash can. It also contains a revealing maid outfit, which she wears before they transfer to their intimate space. Meanwhile, Gail's parents inform Allie and her boyfriend about Jack and Gail. Later, Andy is frustrated, knowing that his ex-girlfriend replaced him with a puppet. Allie gets mad since he still cares about his ex-girlfriend, so he apologizes. Moments later, Mr. and Mrs. Spicoli watch a testimonial video from another puppet lover. Once again, Mrs. Spicoli tries to involve her husband in helping their daughter, but he just wants some risotto. While Allie and Andy meditate at home, Andy still can't get over his ex-girlfriend's odd boyfriend. He's outraged by the descriptions of Jack's good performance in bed compared to his. The next day, the news coverage reports about a puppet stolen from a comedy bar by an intoxicated lady. Immediately, Mrs. Spicoli realizes that Gail is responsible for this. On TV, a reporter at the scene interviews Jack's owner, Frank Horvath. The man is emotional on camera, asking the audience to contact the comedy club for any leads to Grandpa Bra's disappearance, with the prize for returning the beloved puppet at $85,000. The news spreads fast as Emma recognizes Gail in the CCTV footage of the culprit. Right after, she informs her friends, worrying Zoe and Carla. Jen laughs but realizes the danger her friend is in, so she leaves to help her. Simultaneously, Mr. Spicoli recognizes the comedy bar only because it's near an Italian deli, and his wife is exasperated. Meanwhile, Allie and Andy watch the news in shock. Taking action, Andy reports his ex-girlfriend to the cops for stealing the puppet. Detective Simpson handles the interrogation until Cooper arrives. Cooper knows Gail for previously bailing out Andy, who's known for ingesting substances, so he directs Simpson to find her address in Andy's file. The detective leaves to find Gail and the puppet, while Cooper warns Andy that if he's wrong, he'll receive consequences for filing a fake police report. Moments later, Simpson and his colleague, Griffin, arrive at Gail's home and search for Grandpa Bra. The woman, still in her maid costume, denies involvement in the puppet's disappearance. While searching the home, the detectives find a puppet-sized rope used for intimate acts, questioning Gail's sanity. Later, Jen arrives at her friend's apartment, stepping in as Gail's lawyer and lover to explain the rope. This successfully drives the detectives out of the apartment. After the detectives leave, Gail uncovers Jack, hidden inside a pillowcase. Jen urges her friend to see a therapist the next day and brings out some wine. Meanwhile, in Frank's room, the puppeteer comedian and the rabbit puppet are in bed. The rabbit puppet pushes him to do the deed again, threatening that she'll expose him, so he abides. The next day, Gail sees a therapist who advises her to return Jack to the authorities, but the puppet lover desperately believes that Jack is real. Her therapist advises her to work on her situation before she gets arrested. After the session, Soon, Allie finds her sister outside the therapist's office as the detectives observe them nearby. The older sister blames Allie for her condition, berating her until she leaves. The puppet-loving woman then walks further down the street to see Jen. However, the two are stopped by Simpson and Griffin, who now have the warrant to search Gail's purse. So they check it. Since her purse doesn't contain Jack, the ladies leave freely. Later, Gail arrives home and sees her sister with Jack. The puppet lover panics, but learns that Jen asked Allie to take Jack home, knowing the cops wouldn't search her. With her sister saving her from being caught, the two have a touching moment as Allie apologizes and reveals that she broke up with Andy to get her sister back. She hugs Gail and Jack touches Allie, shocking her. When Gail visits her therapist again, she still hasn't realized her relationship with the puppet is odd. At a bar, Jen informs Emma that their strange friend is doing better. On the other hand, Gail's mother is glad her daughter hasn't mentioned Jack in weeks and nonchalantly tells her husband she wants a divorce. Concurrently, Andy is frustrated that the detectives haven't found the puppet since he knows his ex-girlfriend has Grandpa Bra and wants the reward money. The detectives remind him of their authority and they smell an illicit substance on Andy, so he tries to escape. At the bar, Zoe is convinced that Gail isn't crazy and Carla sarcastically agrees. Moments later, Gail does her household duties as Jack flirts with her. Then she massages her boyfriend, who reels with pleasure and pain. Afterward, Allie advises her older sister against her overly giving role in her relationship with Jack. She asks Gail how Jack reciprocates love since he doesn't put in the same effort as she does. On the other hand, the older sister recalls when all she did was parade herself in front of Jack, while only he enjoyed the experience. Gail has a way with Jack's heart, knowing he enjoys watching her eat lollipops suggestively. Although she suspected something was wrong, she continued holding on while Jack's mind was elsewhere. One day, Gail comes home to discover Jack seeking pleasure by watching a video of him and the rabbit puppet, an old lover. Angered, she threatens to bleach him until he reveals whether he's done it with a furry puppet. He confirms, so now he has to sleep on the couch. The next day, Gail recounts her recent issue to her therapist. The therapist tries making Gail realize that she imagined the relationship to cope with a difficult breakup. Soon, at the police station, Simpson uncuffs Gail before interrogating her. He informs her that she can return home after they search her apartment. Suddenly, Simpson calls Gail a sweetheart, but clarifies that he's offering her a candy that's named Sweetheart. After the awkward exchange, he compliments her, and the two connect. He asks how she ended up with someone like Andy, and expresses he's glad that Gail found Jen. Thinking of Jack, she says she's with someone she needs right now, but still wants something more. Simpson surprises her by saying he just wants something real. Gail agrees, and Simpson reveals that he usually falls for suspects at work. Hearing this, she hints that he can ask her out after she's cleared. Abruptly, Cooper enters, informing them that they couldn't find the missing puppet at Gail's apartment. She's free to go, leaving Simpson with a romantically charged goodbye. Once Gail has left, Simpson admits to liking the woman, but Cooper advises him against dating her since they know she's guilty. Outside Andy's apartment, the rabbit puppet trades some pills for Andy's information about Gail. Meanwhile, Gail's friends help her let go of Jack. The puppet lover hesitates, but when Jack suggests they engage in an intimate act with one of her friends, she finally puts him in a box to be returned to his owner. Emotional, Gail sobs as Jen comforts her, giving her another toy. On the news broadcast, it's revealed that Jack has finally reunited with Frank. The puppeteer is relieved, but Jack flirts with the reporter. The newscaster reports that the box containing Grandpa Bra had an apology note that requested that the reward money be donated to a women's mental health charity. Simultaneously, Gail cries over her relationship in the bathtub while eating ice cream and staring at a picture of Jack. At the comedy bar, Jack finds another woman to seduce. When Jack and his tryst leave for a hotel, the bartender and puppet salute each other. Soon after, Gail sadly strolls along a bridge when Detective Simpson informs her about the returned puppet. She's glad Jack was returned, and Simpson offers to buy her coffee for the trouble they caused her, introducing himself as Victor. Victor still thinks the woman is dating Jen, but Gail clarifies that she's not. Relieved, he asks her out to dinner instead, and they take a walk together. 5 weeks later, Gail and Victor have an intimate moment together as Jack watches them from a window. Sometime later, the rabbit puppet confronts Gail about Jack. Although the woman apologizes for not knowing the two puppets were married, the puppet threatens to hurt her if she meddles again.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.